accurate autofocus, fast continuous drive, and stellar imaging. Great for wildlife photography. This might be the camera I have been waiting from Canon for some time now, however the verdict is still out. Introduction: I have been into amateur photography since the film days, and once I got into digital photography I was a Canon shooter until 2017 when I discovered Pentax K1. I have also tried Panasonic G9 with 100 to 400mm lens, but it was not a match to Canon 70D and Sigma 150 to 600mm contemporary. I really got a great copy that is tack sharp wide open at 600mm. This lens alone and 100 to 400 liters trombone was what was keeping me from dumping Canon for good. Since I have been looking for something to upgrade my 70D for birding and air shows, I will be reviewing this camera mostly from this point of view. First impressions: the build is very similar to 70D. The major difference I notice the most is the grip, which is protruding more and it is more comfortable to hold the camera with a big zoom lens. For people with smaller hands it might be somewhat of an adjustment, but it fits me just right. Other than the grip, the joystick and few buttons placed slightly differently, it feels really like the same camera. The menus changed slightly, but it took me no time to set it up, pretty much same way I had 70D set up. Shooting performance: he just received it today, September 12, 2019, and went outside to SH. Stationary subject for now and auto ISO max 3, 200 on both 90D and 70D with 6.3 aperture. First thing I noticed was a difference in the shutter sound, and I must say I like it much more than the one of 70D. It is more subtle yet sounds pretty assuring. I know this is more intangible quality, but I like it. Never paid too much attention to this until 90D. The second thing that stood out was that 90D was suggesting slightly different shutter speed at the same auto ISO and aperture. 90D would also sometimes pick slightly different auto ISO as well. In general the numbers looked like 90D is slightly more sensitive than 70D. Have not had a chance to test tracking yet, but I tried burst raw only shooting, and with Lexar Professional 1667x 128GB SDXC UHS-2 at the maximum 10 frames per second rate, the buffer filled up in 3 seconds. At 3 frames per second rate, slow burst mode, the buffer filled up after 19 seconds. After that it became very random, from 1 per second to 4 per second frame rate. In more realistic bird shooting simulation, when I usually shoot 4 to 7 frames and take a second or so a break between bursts, it took almost a minute or so for the buffer to start slowing the shooting down. October 2019. This is really good considering this thing does 10 FPS. So far so good. I also tried some Biffed hawks and eagles flying around, and I must say that the viewfinder performance in tracking mode seems much better than 70D. Click link in description for more reviews.